Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me on an episode of Hear Me Out. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I have been so looking forward to this since you brought it up.
Yay, I'm so excited. So I love to start off with all my guests. What is your connection to hearing loss?
Oh, that is a good question to start off with. My connection with hearing loss is I was born deaf. I was born profoundly deaf. Both my parents, so it seems that the genetics somehow just like didn't mix and it gave me like beauty, it gave me brains, but it didn't give me hearing. So that was the case for both my brother and I. My brother's older than me, and they discovered that she was deaf first by dropping a bunch of pans down and he didn't react. So when they saw that she didn't react that loud noise, they thought something was wrong. And she was already a year and a half at the time. And then when I came to be born, they tested me right away and they said that I was deaf, that I am also deaf. And so with that, we were on the list of getting a cochlear implant with sick kids. We have this condition called Mondini malformation. So that means that the cochlea is not a normal shape like a snail. It's more of like kind of like a woolly round. So that means that the way that sound travel is not as normal or typical as other people's. When it was 2001, the kids was doing tests to try to give cochlear implants to kids who have malformations or different conditions. And Ethan and I, my brother and I, we were one of the candidates to do it. And somehow it turned out to be a success. And what's really cool is when I was a baby, I was on a TV show called Life's Little Miracles, which I will send you after. And it's about a whole little documentary of me getting a cochlear implant and talking about the malformation and the difficulties that could happen and all that. And I'm so cute. I'm so cute as a baby. I'm so cute. So you have to see it.
I
Yeah.
would love to. That's amazing. That's
But I would
awesome.
say this though, I'm my brother and I were the only deaf people in the family, and there was like one deaf person 100 years ago, and that must have been a connection. So
Yeah. It's kind of nice that you have your brother as that support system that gets it. Because like in my family, I'm the only one, except people who are in their elders and they got hearing loss, later in life. So that must have been really nice to grow up together with someone going through exactly what you're going through. Are you guys really close?
you'd be surprised. We actually didn't talk about it together until we were in our 20s.
Okay.
Which is wild, because we were close, but we were not close. We fought a lot, and I think it's because we both have very, very different experiences with our disability and navigating it in our family, where it disconnected us. We did not know, and this is a conversation we've had. We did not know that we could talk to one another about it.
Oh, that's so sad in a way. That's very interesting. So I take your parents just didn't really talk about it then.
No, I think it was just to come. It was a thing that was still being navigated, and I think that I know that my mom tried to approach it as you don't have disabilities, you are normal kids, you just have a little thing, and I think that with that approach, we didn't know that this was a thing that we could talk about, and it's a really good learning curve for my brother and I because now. We've gotten a lot closer trying to navigate our adult life with our deafness.
It's nice, at least it worked its way out in that way. So some some nice like output in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing though. That is very fascinating to hear about like the TV show and sick kids and do you have two cochlear implants? I can't remember.
I just have one.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way that it happened is that I have one when I was a baby because at the time they didn't know what would happen if they gave them bilateral. Now they do it for no problem, but before 20 years ago, they were like, I don't know what's going to happen if I give you two cochlears. So they just did one and then the other a little later. And what happened was is I got the second cochlear implant, but it was on a nerve. So it gave
Mm,
me lots of pain here. It vibrated and it was painful. And before I turned 18, I begged sick cats to take it out because I was never going to use it. It was never going to be good for me, and I just didn't want to have it. So I got it taken out, and it's been great ever since. But it took me a long time to figure out that's what I wanted. So I don't recommend anyone doing it unless they need to. So
right.
yeah, I was a special
That's a
case.
very good
So if you want to know more, let me know. But yeah. And my brother, he has facial twitches that happens on his side of the face every time he puts on the cochlear. His cochlea is also on a nerve, on a facial nerve that's close by, that whenever he puts it on and the frequencies that go inside the cochlea makes his whole side twitch. And it's really bad. And we're still trying to find a solution with that. But the thing is that most of the surgeons are so scared to touch it because it's literally a 50-50 chance of him curing it or losing his cochlear implant.
right. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that because I do know a lot of people have many concerns with a surgery like that, and it's not nice to hear, but it's good to hear the good, the bad, from other people's experiences because you don't know until you get into it, right? So really appreciate you sharing that. Let's switch gears a little bit. You have a Zine called Dear Hearing People, and I would love to know what inspired that because it's awesome, and I'm really excited to get my copy.
Thank you. So, oh, it's amazing. So I'm really lucky. I'm at university at OCAD University doing illustration and creative writing. And growing up, I didn't have as much representation. Looking up to a deaf person to get inspiration from, to understand that this is something I could accept. And when you're hard of hearing or you're trying to be part of the hearing world, I don't think people necessarily realize that there's so many disconnections and gaps that are there that I find that most often people think that the cochlear or the hearing aid solved everything and that it just helped everything and it just makes you normal. And I know that's not the case, and I know that's not the case. And so the scene was inspired because I wanted to graduate knowing how to make art for disabled community for representation. That I got an independent study out of this to work one-on-one with my advisor to navigate how to create this. And because I've been gaining so many ways to be humorous about this, I thought that that would be such a great approach because I find that people react well to learning when it's combined with comedy. People are so scared of offending people, of trying to say the wrong thing and all. So I used this booklet as a way to illustrate and make a kind of fun of how and like, okay, the book is called Dear Hearing People, but then when you open the first page, it says you suck. And then, right, like, and I just wanted to say, like, this is it. This is what I'm just gonna tell you, and it's not your fault. And then and through that whole booklet, I just kind of explained why it is through graphic design, through typography, and through illustrations. I use those methods to express how deafness and hard of hearing works in a hearing world and where the gap is. So, like, some words will be bolded, some words will be italic or kind of like harder to see to kind of be like, I need you to work harder to reading it. So that kind of inspired me to figure out how can I show how accessibility works and the and for the and have the perspective of hearing people seeing that and gaining empathy. Because I always think ignorance is not intentional. It's unintentional. And people don't know because they've never been exposed. So this was my way of saying, how can I expose this?
I love that so much. Like that is exactly how I feel as well, because I feel like these days people don't know like how to start conversations because they're worried they're going to offend people. It's like, but no, we need these conversations to help educate you and to just help you understand because like you said, it's not intentional ignorance. It's they truly just don't know, right? Like so that is so awesome. I think that's phenomenal. And I like I said, I can't wait to get my copy and to help promote it and just put it out there. Um, but I'm curious, so kind of to tie it in, you recently on social media shared about how you struggle to find a job because of hearing fatigue and talking to people all day. Now you work in a print shop, and I'm curious, did your Zion kind of connect you to that job or how did that work out?
That's a really good question. So I've been really fortunate to gain this kind of part of myself to make sure that I open myself up to anybody that I talk to at the school. Because the print shop that I work at now is at the school. And when I posted that, because I was looking for jobs, and you know that there's so many jobs that require 8 hours of talking to people and doing all that. And I worked at a job before at a climbing gym, in which that was a job that I loved. I could not perform as well as other people because it was loud, it was fast, and people were impatient. And I don't blame the people. They want to go and get in and go climb. I don't want to hold up 20 minutes of their time because of a misunderstanding. And so knowing that that was the struggle that I've had over and over and over again, I wanted to use social media as a way to connect with people that seem to like what I say and follow me. And I got so many responses and so many job opportunities out of it, but it was still not the job that was good for me. Um, the way that it happened with the print shop is again, OCAD is such a tight-knit community that we actually follow our faculty on Instagram and stuff because it's an art world. So we're always seeing other people's artworks and stuff. So the boss who works at the print shop actually has a sister who's hard of hearing. And right. And she saw my Instagram and I saw her at school and we talked about it. And I said, is there a opportunity for me to have a job there? And she just said, yes, send your resume in. And then before you know it, she just got me the job. And she always said to me, and I love her so much, she always said to me that like I get what it's like and I always want to accommodate. So if you want the job, like you have it. And I've been so lucky. I've been so lucky that opening that video on social media has really helped me gain so much empathy in active listeners to navigate and figure out how that there are actually some people who do have trouble with this. And it's not because they're not capable, but it's because they have to go a different route.
Yeah,
I've been really
absolutely.
lucky.
I think that it was amazing that you shared that and that people were so positively responding to you because I think it's one of those topics that really doesn't get talked about enough within the deaf and hard of hearing community is job opportunities and how difficult it is for people to understand. Like you said, we are capable. It's just there are certain things that make it harder for us to perform the way we want to perform. And so I think that was very admirable that you shared that and that like I'm so happy you found a job that you love because I think that's awesome. Because that's also hard is like there's some people just take jobs because they need a job and it's not anything they want to do. But did you struggle at all when applying to other jobs or looking for jobs for people to understand your accommodations or to want to accommodate you? Like, did you encounter that a lot?
I did. I did. I got a lot of doubt and a lot of people that said, "Oh, I'm not sure that you can do this job because, and they did not show a lot of encouragement or any positive feedback on wanting to work together or anything. Um, and would intentionally leave out that I'm hard of hearing or that I'm disabled, just to get the interview process. And then when I would talk with them and ask them to repeat or anything, that was already like a red flag for them to say, I can't do this or this is not gonna fit. And that's really disappointing because so many of these jobs are really looking for the perfect candidate that they're really missing out on the best candidate. I find that the disabled community are amazing workers because of their just drive and dedication. And really, it can only be done if they meet halfway. And most of the jobs don't want to meet halfway. Like, I did so many staff meetings and so many repetitions of who I am with my previous job that it was incredibly frustrating how many people, or how many of my coworkers did not remember to apply this accommodation to acknowledge that I have this disability, that it was already prevalent to see that there was that disconnection of where I am as a coworker between them. They're all here and coworkers here, and I'm just the one that's struggling, and I have to use them to help me. But they don't help me, which is not nice or fair. And again, I don't take this personally. I take this as they don't know what they need to do on an active basis to help. And so
Yeah.
that's the communication here. That's the question here. That's the conversation here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of those conversations that sadly will always have to happen because, like you said, people just aren't necessarily going to remember because maybe they just, it's terrible to say don't care enough, which is horrible, or they have their own things going on. Like, right, we can't blame them for lack of
Yeah,
knowing, but it is frustrating when they just
yeah,
choose not to get it, you
yeah.
know?
And you know what's
It's,
interesting too, because that's why, like, I'm using my background as an artist to visually communicate because I know, and you know, April, that there's so much information out there on Instagram with the algorithm, there's disability representation there. But again, it's the fact that it's not in the scope of conversation, that it's not in there. And that's why like the booklet I find would just help. I find that those are things would just help because words is a language and there's so much that can be gained. But using art as a visual language maybe can help that language of communication to keep it there in that scope, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one area too that isn't like visual isn't represented. Oh my goodness, why can't I say that word represented as much?
It's a hard
Um,
one.
and so I think you never know, like that might be the thing that clicks for more people, right? Like visually seeing that representation just might help more people click. So the more, things out there to help people get it, the better. So that's awesome. I think that's great. I want to talk about your dog now because you have a guide dog, and I would love to know the process of how you got one or got her and how that looked like. And I totally forgot her name. I'm so sorry, but she's the sweetest.
It's okay. Her name is Yuki. Yeah, she's the sweetest. She's a black Labrador Retriever dog, and she's the smaller size of the normal Golden Retriever. She's like 58 pounds instead of the usual 78. And that is intentional because as a deaf person, you need someone to alert you. Like, we get alerted by tapping the shoulder or waving on her face. And also, they kind of did that with the dog when she jumps on me to alert me. If she was heavier than that, I would end up in the hospital. So. I was 16 years old when I applied to her, when I applied for her. And it was about 7 years, 8 years before I actually got a response back. But it was only because when you first apply, there's a few things that you have to do. You have to show proof that you're deaf, that you need one. You also have to do like a statement of intent, where like you kind of have to explain yourself why you need one, how that will help you with your day-to-day life. How would it help? What would it do for you? And why you want one? And then after that, the people from the faculty will go and look at your place, meet you, and see kind of where you live, who you are, and all that. And they will kind of like put that in their net list and say, okay, they have a safe space, they don't have wires sticking around, all of those things. Because again, they want to know that you are a responsible human being, that you would not make your dog, you would not raise your dog in a dangerous environment. Um, because of COVID, everything got pushed back 3 years. So that's why I got the additional extra years of not hearing back because they stopped everything, even breeding the dogs and all, they stopped everything. Aha. Because they needed someone to foster the dogs and that they needed the constant communication of making sure that the dog's being raised and doing that. And because it was already so hard and they didn't have funding at that time, as well as the other times, they had to just kind of slow down. So everyone just got an extra 2 years. When I got my response, they say you have a match. And the really cool thing that they do here is they want to know who you are as a person so that they can match you with the right dog. So if you're a high energy person, you're out all the time, you need a dog that likes to go out. That would be so happy to go from place to place. If you were a low energy person, you want to stay home, they need a dog who is happy to sleep all day and help when they need to. So they ask you all those kind of questions to kind of like know who you are. Um, I got a response in August 2023. And then in October 2023, I had to leave school and work and stay at the facility for 2 weeks. You need to stay there full time to bond with the dog, train with the dog, and be in an environment that the dog knows to bond at before you take them home into an environment that they don't know, which is really cool. And it was great. I loved it. I got fed like 3 meals a day, all of that. I got the special treatment. And you got to like meet other people in your class that was also going through the same thing. So that was awesome. She is trained to 6 sounds. So timer. So it's like this little thing, this timer, and she's trained to this. And for laundry, for cooking, for tea, for all of that, she'll let me know when it's time. If the oven goes off, she'll let me know that 20 minutes has gone on. So that's great. She'll tap me and she'll take me to the sound. She does the same with phone call, door knock, name call. So if my husband calls my name, Emily, 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 my dog would know that the name is being repeated. She would tap me and take me to the person that's calling my name. Incredible. Wake up alarm. So as you may know, you can use a vibrating alarm to wake up. I used to do that, but I get so scared, like you have a dream, and then before you know it, your bed's shaking. It really scares you. So I have a better time now with my dog where she just hovers over me and just taps me and wakes me out. It's beautiful. And they love treats, so you just give them a treat. Good job, girl. Um, what's that? What else? So timer, phone call, name call, door knock, um, doorbell, but she doesn't do a doorbell. I don't have a doorbell. But then she also does a fire alarm, and the fire alarm is different where she spins 3 times to let me know that it's an emergency.
Okay.
Yeah. And it helps so much because sometimes I don't like to wear my hearing. And so she has helped me feel safe. And I take her to school. And when I work at the print shop, she lets me know that people are coming. She reacts to just like the motion to the footsteps of people. And you know how we're very visual with our eyes to make up for what we can't hear. So it's really cool that I look at her and I see her reacting to like a skateboard coming up behind her or a dog barking, and then I know I need to step her aside or all of that. She has been my ears, and she's incredible, and she's cute. She's so cute. So,
It's so
I've
sweet.
been really lucky to have her.
Oh, that's amazing. I had no idea how thorough that process is, but I have to say that's phenomenal that those dogs, like it's ensured that dogs go to a safe a safe home and to the right
Mhm.
people. That's absolutely incredible. Um, wow. And I'm so glad you have Yuki. I got to meet her earlier this year and she is just so
Yeah,
sweet.
and you're gonna meet her
She's
again.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. Now, I have just a couple questions left because I did get a little warning here. But I'm just curious,
Oh
what do
no.
you think is one of like the biggest misconceptions hearing people have towards deaf and hard of hearing people?
That's a good question. I'm gonna separate the two. So for hard of hearing people, I feel like the misconception is because we are able to be attentive and sometimes we're very good at understanding and communicating that they think that they can be their normal selves. And I find that that's a really big misconception is they forget the label. Like when I introduce myself as hard of hearing, you should make sure you keep that label in the back of your head to remember. I find that because they are seeing the visual evidence of how capable we are, that they forget that they need to either slow themselves down and repeat if we need to. And I find that that's the biggest misconception is how well we act and portray ourselves means that they can still keep acting normal. And then when we tell them to slow down or do those things, they're like, oh, but you understood everything. And that's not the case. And I find that that's very frustrating. And for deaf people, because I call myself deaf more than hard of hearing because I take off my hearing a lot more and I associate myself as deaf more. And with that, I find that they a- assume, I find that maybe people may assume that they lip read or that they need to do, that deaf people need to do the work to communicate with them. And I find that hearing people need to adopt that tool set on the back of their head where keep a phone accessible and use a note and paper if you need to communicate because they we are just capable of communicating with you. It's just a different access. So it's more of being patient with that. And I find that hearing people move fast. And so they want to move fast with anybody who they talk to, including deaf and hard of hearing people. So I think it's just a misconception is you slowing down is really beneficial for us.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I am definitely guilty of this because I was hearing 10 years ago and now I'm in, I'm a part of the hard of hearing community. I find I'm definitely guilty of going too fast. And I think, yeah, like people just aren't adaptable. Like they don't want to be flexible with how they communicate for whatever reason. But before we get cut off here, I would love to be able to share with people how can they contact you if they have any questions about your story or want to learn more about you. Where can they find you?
Oh, I mean, you can first find me on Instagram, and I can give April the link here. And another thing is, I always have my email on my Instagram, so you can always access me through that. I also have my website that's under my name, Emily Ackerman, and you can find me there. I'm also on LinkedIn, but I'm such an open book, so if you ever find me on any platform go ahead and email me, and I will always, always, always respond because this communication and this conversation is important. So if you ever have any questions, go ahead. But my main platform is Instagram.
Okay, amazing. That's fantastic. I honestly believe like your story will help so many people, especially when it comes to finding a job, how to advocate, just, being your authentic self because that's what you
Mhm.
are. You're like amazing, funny, cheerful, and I love that. And I think so many people will be inspired and find like a mentor in you almost because you're such an open
Mhm.
book, and I love that.
Oh,
And this has been such a pleasure. Like, thank you so much for coming on.
thank you so much for having me. And I'm just so thankful to know you, April. Like whatever you're doing is incredible. Like April organized a funda, an event and really brought deaf and hard of hearing people together. And you really like helped me make some friends that day. So thank you so much.
And it's going to happen again, so we're going to make more friends, and I'm so excited.
Oh, it's so
Amazing. Well, you
perfect.
enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.